Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale, and this is your Must Know Monday for Monday, July the 25th. Last week, we talked about all the basic tools that you're going to need for bead crochet. Today, we're going to go a step further, and we're going to talk about how you actually are going to load your beads for a basic project. The first thing you need to know is, or you need to figure out, I should say, is how you want to string the beads. Like I said last week, I actually used the bobbin method where I wrap my thread around the bobbin, but if that doesn't appeal to you, you'll actually be wrapping your thread around your spool. Now, for my example today, I'm actually going to be using the jean stitch thread. This is 200 yards, 100% spun polyester, 180 meters, and that is about all that it tells me. And I'm using the beige color. So this is what I'm using today. And I actually stitched up a piece, or not stitched up, I crocheted up a piece of crochet length about 1 inch. And then I pulled it all apart because I wanted to see exactly, for me personally, because I'm a very tight crocheter, I wanted to see how much thread that I used in 1 inch of finished crochet and how many beads that I actually used. So for me personally, since I'm a tight crocheter, when I pulled that out, it took about 34 inches of thread to make 1 inch of finished bead crochet. So basically what I did was I took 34 inches and I multiplied that by 8 because I want to string 8 inches, or I want my finished piece to be about 8 inches. That equals 272. So it's 272 inches. Then I divided that by 36. I wanted to figure out how many yards I would actually need of my thread. So I divided that by 36 inches because 36 inches is a yard, and that equals out to 7.5. So it's going to take 7.5 yards of my thread to actually make one crocheted bracelet. And normally what I do is I put 1 to 2 yards more on there just so that I can feel safe in knowing how much thread I have. So if you do not do the bobbin technique, you won't really have to worry about that because all your thread will kind of be on your spool or your roll or whatever. You just have to be careful because if you get short on your thread, you'll want to definitely figure out how much is left on there. Now I've already gone ahead and I have cut my thread off of its spool. And it's super, super easy to thread it onto your bobbin. The bobbins come, and I don't know if you'll actually be able to see it, but there is a little tiny hole right here in the bobbin. Maybe, there you go. Now you can see it. There's a little tiny hole there in that bobbin. So all you're going to do is I'm going to take the end of my thread and I'm going to stick it in that hole so that I can pull it down and have a little bit of a tail here to hold on to. And then it's just a matter of taking the thread and wrapping the thread around the bobbin. So you're just going to keep wrapping until you have all the thread wrapped onto your bobbin. Once you have all the thread onto the bobbin, then you're ready to actually start stringing your beads. Now I have threaded on a big eye needle onto one end of my thread. And here's how the rule of thumb for figuring out how many beads you're going to need on your thread. I'm going to be using size 8 seed beads. I do not suggest you go below a size 8 seed bead, especially when you are learning. Now, once you've learned bead crochet and you've mastered it, then you can use whatever size. But I definitely would not go below an 8 for learning. So I'm going to be using 6 different, what they call milky colors. And so when you first start out, it's really, really great to use 6 very different colors in a row. So that way, number 1, you'll know exactly which bead you're supposed to be adding. And number 2, it's going to be really easy to see the pattern as you work around it. So here's your rule of thumb in figuring out how many beads you're going to need. So if you're going to do 6 beads in your initial circle, you're going to take 6 and multiply it by the size of your bracelet. So let's say I want a 7-inch finished bracelet. So 6 times 7 equals 42 inches of beads. So what that means is you are going to thread 42 total inches of beads onto your thread. I actually did this. I tested it out. It does work. It completely works with the 42 inches. Basically, it's going to take, on size 8C beads, it's going to take 5 inches of strong beads to make 1 inch of finished piece of crochet. Now, I actually, when I made my 1 inch crochet piece and pulled it apart to see how much thread I used, I went ahead and counted my beads too. Took me personally about 68 beads per finished inch, yeah, 68 beads to make 1 finished inch. So I would have to do 68 beads times however many beads, which would be 544 beads is what I'd actually be adding. But just for not counting purposes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to thread these on, and I'm going to thread on the 42 inches of beads, so that way I know that I have plenty of beads to go and crochet. How you actually thread your beads on determines what your pattern is going to look like. Here's one that I have completed, and this basically I started out and I threaded on a black, orange, and white, and that's why you see these rows of 3 in the spiral. Let's see, here's another one that I did. This one is actually a necklace that a lady in my store, Deborah Harmon, she made the diacrylic piece, and then I stitched around it and made this necklace to go with it. This one is 2 rows. I did, let me see here, I did 2 gunmetal, 1 crystal, 2 gunmetal, and 1 crystal. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 6 beads in my row, but you can see how different it looks from the previous sample just by how I picked up the beads. Now here is another sample that I wanted to show you. This one is a lot like the pink one. This is 2 rows of 8s, or 2 8s, a rondelle, 2 8s, and a rondelle. And this is actually one of my favorite necklaces. I love this one. Here is another one that I completed. This one is 2 white, 2 black, and 2 silver line gray. And I actually used I used a variegated thread on this one. And this one was really cool because it had some pink and green and yellow in it that you can kind of see in the stitch work. So there's another pattern. And then here is one that I did in a solid color. This, I don't even remember the name of this one. This was something that I think I had bought at another bead store a long time ago. But this one I did not attempt till I had done a lot of crochet. So like I said, whatever pattern, how you thread them on is going to affect how it looks. So to start out, I've got my 6 colors laid out, and I've got them laid out into a pattern as to where I'll be able to really tell the difference between the beads when I stitch them on. This is a Silverline Milky Montana, and this is a Silverline Milky Sapphire, I actually think. I can't remember. Yeah, Sapphire, but it looks purple. And if these two are side by side, it would be hard for me to tell the difference. So I've made sure to thread them on to where I could really tell the difference. To start out, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle. I'm going to pick up 1 of every color. And I'm going to go ahead and look at it. And I'm going to check my pattern and see if I like the way the pattern's going to look. And I think I'm really, really going to like that pattern. So I'm just going to continue on. Simply just picking up 1 bead of each of my 6 colors. And I'm going to continue to do that. Oh, I missed a bead here. I'm going to continue to do that until I have the correct desired inches of length threaded onto my chosen thread that I'll be using. So once you have all your beads added, I did 47 or 48 inches of mine. I went ahead and I've wrapped them around the bobbin, and I've left about 24 inches of string to work with. Now, until I actually get ready to finish wrapping, I'm going to leave that big eye needle on there so that way my beads won't fall off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish wrapping, and then take your needle off, pop it together, and now you are ready to get your crochet hook out and actually start the art of crochet. So next week, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how I start bead crochet and how to actually just kind of go about looking at your pattern and figuring out, which bead you're supposed to be adding where. Now, I did, for those of you who watched last week about the different kinds of tools and things that you would need, I told you about a free resource that I have available for the bead crochet on my closed Facebook group. Now, I did go in and I've edited that particular handout because I've added some of the things that we talked about today, like about how many inches of thread it takes to do one complete inch of crochet, and also how many beads that I personally had per inch of the piece. And I may go through and update this as we keep going through the series. So to see this updated version, all you have to do is go back to the page, the Off the Beaded Path closed Facebook group, and you can just click on that file and see the updated version each time. So anytime that you have a question about it, you can just go there and see that update. So like I said, come back next week when we are going to start to learn how to chain stitch and just start this process. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And real quick, just so you know, since today is the 25th, on the 29th and 30th, which is the Friday and Saturday of this week, we will be having a 20% sale or 20% off sale in our web store, our Etsy store, and our physical store. If you shop with us Friday or Saturday on our website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, or on our Etsy store, you can type in the code HOLIDAY, HOLIDAY, 16, so holiday 16, all one word. So holiday 16 in the coupon code box, and you'll get 20% off your total purchase. And again, that is for July 29th and 30th. So I hope you guys have a great week and come back next week. Bye bye.